Hey everyone, welcome back. You wanted a deep dive on financial literacy. Right.
Mhm.
Well, we took that request seriously and dove headfirst into Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki.
Yeah, it's a book that's definitely sparked a lot of conversation over the years.
For sure. It's a classic for a reason.
Yeah,
But some of Kiyosaki's advice, oh, let's just say it's caused a bit of controversy. But hey, that's what makes it so interesting to unpack.
absolutely.
So today we're going to explore some of those core ideas from Rich Dad, Poor Dad, see what resonates with you, and maybe even challenge a few of those traditional money tips we've all heard a million times. One of the things that really jumped out at me was Kiyosaki's whole thing about his two dads.
Yeah, the two dads. Two totally different perspectives on money.
Exactly. You've got his biological father, super educated but always struggling financially.
Mm.
And then there's his friend's dad, a self-made entrepreneur who taught him a whole different set of money lessons.
Right. It's like having two completely different mentors for your financial life.
I know. And I was
Huh.
especially fascinated by that story about Kiyosaki working for his rich dad for like, what, 10 cents an hour?
Yeah, seems crazy, right?
Totally. I mean, who would do that?
Well, it wasn't about the money, it was about the lessons. His rich dad wanted to teach him about the difference between working for money.
Versus having your money work for you.
Exactly. That's a huge shift in perspective.
It really is. And do you think that's like the biggest takeaway from the book?
Yeah.
That whole idea of changing how you think about money.
It's definitely a core part of Kiyosaki's message, but there's another concept that he keeps coming back to, and that's the idea of really understanding what assets and liabilities are. And he defines them in a way that might surprise you.
Yeah, no, I had to rethink a few things. Like he says, a house isn't always an asset. How can that be? Everyone always says buying a house is the best investment you can make.
Well, think about it this way. Kiyosaki's definition is super simple. An asset puts money in my pocket. A liability takes money out of my pocket. So if your house is costing you more in mortgage payments and taxes and all that, then it's bringing in...
It's kind of acting like a liability.
Exactly.
That's a really interesting way to look at it. It's not just about what you own, but whether it's actually helping or hurting your finances.
Right. It makes you think twice about all those monthly expenses.
For sure. And this kind of leads into another big point. Kiyosaki makes mind your own business. He tells this great story about Ray Kroc, the guy behind McDonald's.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
And Kroc says he's not in the hamburger business. He's in the real estate business.
Because he owns the land.
Exactly. He understood that the land was a key part of McDonald's success. And Kiyosaki's point is that we should be thinking about this in our own lives, building up our asset column, even while we're working our regular jobs. It could be through real estate stocks or even starting a side hustle.
Anything that generates income.
Right. It all ties back to that idea of having your money work for you. But then Kiyosaki also talks about the rich inventing money.
Yeah.
What does that even mean? Is that like some kind of financial magic trick?
It's not magic. It's about developing what he calls financial intelligence, seeing opportunities that others miss, and using your knowledge to create wealth.
So it's like finding those hidden gems, the undervalued properties or businesses that other people overlook.
Exactly. Like he talks about buying a house for $20,000, fixing it up a bit, and selling it for $60,000.
Wow. That's a pretty sweet profit.
Right. He basically invented $40,000 just by understanding how to work the system.
That's impressive. But it sounds like it takes a lot of guts to pull something like that off.
Oh,
Not everyone's comfortable taking those kinds of risks.
you're right. And Kiyosaki acknowledges that. He actually outlines 5 main obstacles that can hold people back from achieving financial freedom.
Okay.
Fear, cynicism, laziness, bad habits, and arrogance.
So it's not just about understanding the numbers, it's about overcoming those mental blocks that can sabotage our success.
Absolutely. He encourages us to confront those obstacles head on, and he gives us some practical steps to get started.
Okay, I'm all ears. What's one of those steps?
He's a huge advocate for financial education. He says, choose daily what to put in your head.
So it's about being proactive about your financial learning, not just waiting for information to come to you.
Exactly. We live in a world where information is everywhere, but we have to be intentional about seeking out the knowledge that can help us grow financially.
It's like being selective about what we feed our minds, just like we're careful about what we feed our bodies.
Precisely. It's about recognizing that financial literacy is a journey. It's not something you achieve overnight. It's a process of continuous learning and growth.
Right.
It really is a journey. And Kiyosaki, he really emphasizes that throughout the book. He doesn't just want you to understand these ideas, he wants you to actually use them.
Right. It's not just about reading the book and then putting it on the shelf. It's about putting those ideas into practice in our own lives.
Exactly. And he actually gives us a framework for doing that with his 10 to-do points. We already talked about education, but there are a few others that are really worth digging into.
Okay, I'm all for practical advice. Which one stands out to you? Especially for someone who's just starting to get serious about their finances.
I think the one about choosing friends carefully is really powerful because it makes you realize that the people we surround ourselves with can have a huge impact on our mindset and our success.
So it's not just about who you know, it's about who they know too. Like building a network of people who can support your financial goals.
Exactly. Kiyosaki believes that your network can be a goldmine of insights, opportunities, even accountability.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
We tend to pick up the habits and mindsets of the people we spend the most time with. So if you're hanging out with people who are financially savvy,
You're more likely to develop those skills yourself.
right. And another one of those to-do points that kind of connects to that is mastering a formula, then learn a new one. This is where Kiyosaki talks about the importance of building your financial skills. So it's about finding a system that works, whether it's in real estate or the stock market or starting a business and then becoming an expert in that area.
Exactly. He's saying there are proven methods for building wealth.
Like a recipe for success.
Yeah. And the key is to learn those methods, understand how they work, and use them consistently. But then he says to learn a new one. Why is that?
Yeah. Why not just stick with the one that's working?
Because the financial world is always changing. What worked 10 years ago might not work today.
Oh, I see. So it's about staying flexible and adaptable.
Exactly. Kiyosaki wants us to be lifelong learners, always looking for new knowledge, new strategies, new ways to grow.
That makes a lot of sense. It's not about finding that one perfect formula and then just coasting. It's about constantly evolving and improving.
Right. And this leads into another to-do point that I find really interesting. He says, be an Indian giver.
I remember that one.
Yeah.
He uses it to talk about the power of giving.
Exactly. And I know that term can be a little problematic, but what Kiyosaki's really getting at is the idea that generosity can create abundance.
So if you want to attract wealth, be generous with your time, your money, your knowledge.
Right. It's about putting that energy out into the world.
And trusting that it will come back to you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about shifting from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset.
That's a powerful idea. Okay, so we've got giving, finding mentors, being adaptable. What else?
Well, there's another to-do point that I think is crucial, especially for people who are just starting out. Pay yourself first.
I've heard that before, but it always seemed a little confusing. How can you pay yourself if you're working for someone else?
It's not about literally giving yourself a paycheck. It's about making saving and investing a priority before you do anything else.
So it's about building that discipline of putting money aside for your future self.
Exactly. Even if it's just a small amount at first.
It's about making your financial well-being a non-negotiable.
Right. It's like setting up an automatic transfer to a savings account every month. So you're consistently building your financial foundation.
That's a great idea. It takes the decision-making out of it. It becomes automatic.
And that's really the theme that runs through all of Kiyosaki's advice. He wants us to be proactive, to take control of our money instead of letting it control us.
It's about becoming the CEO of your own finances.
Exactly.
Wow, we covered a lot of ground today. From those two dads and their different money mindsets,
To understanding what truly makes something an asset.
and then all those practical tips Kiyosaki gives us to actually put those ideas into action.
It's a lot to take in, but I think the main takeaway is that financial literacy, it's a journey, not just a destination.
Right. It's not about memorizing a bunch of rules. It's about developing a whole new way of thinking about money.
A mindset that helps you make smarter decisions.
Decisions that give you more control over your financial future, so you can build a life where you're free to pursue your passions.
Without constantly stressing about money.
Exactly. And that's where Kiyosaki's idea of finding your life's path comes in. It's not just about getting a job to pay the bills. It's about finding work that aligns with your values and your goals.
Work that gives you a sense of purpose.
It's about creating a life that's both financially secure and personally fulfilling. And that's something I think we all strive for. So if you're feeling inspired and you want to learn more, I highly recommend checking out Rich Dad, Poor Dad for yourself.
It's full of stories, examples, and practical advice that can really change the way you think about money.
And if you want a fun way to put those ideas into practice,
Kiyosaki's cash flow game is a great option. It's designed to teach you about investing and money management in a way that's actually enjoyable.
That's a great suggestion. So whether you're just starting your financial journey or you're already a seasoned investor,
Rich Dad Poor Dad has something to offer everyone,
it's a reminder that we all have the power to create the financial future we want.
as long as we're willing to learn, grow, and take action.
Well said. That wraps up our deep dive on Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Hope you found it helpful.
Until next time, keep learning, keep exploring, and keep striving for that life of purpose and financial freedom.